Today's update news is a big one for World of Tanks console. It's got lots of stuff in it. We're going to go through everything that you will need to know for the most recent update that is going to be coming next week. We also have a lot of information as to what's actually coming in the near future as well. So there's loads and loads of stuff to talk through, and we're going to go through everything that you need to know and give some opinions on all of the different things, and then give some feedback as well as to what I believe will be the problems and what will be quite good within the update as well. So first things first, we have a few different things within the game. Well, basically Wargaming have said that the Braddock is still in the lead. We've then got Rambo, and then Snake is in third. So this is for how many I think they have sold, if that makes sense, or how many people have them, I would guess. Then of course we have the Hiss and the Cobra Commander lead of the G.I. Joe content released so far, and then the Mauler with Roadblock and Cat with Baroness released, so Cat is also in the lead. So in terms of what's been sold the most, we have James Braddock being the most sold Action Heroes Commander. Then we have the Hiss and the Cobra Commander as the most sold G.I. Joe content. And then the Cat is the most sold out of the most recent two premium tanks. Then, of course, we have last week. So this is a bit of information regarding what happened last week, and that was in the form of critical hits now show correctly in the post-battle result screen. We had spectator mode in custom games. The spectators are no longer visible on the scoreboard, which is also very, very good. Don't want to have all of the spectators clogging up your scoreboard as to when you're trying to find out people. And then nameplates now appear. Another thing, fixed being sent to Cold War Garage after viewing a World War II replay. I had this problem many times when trying to record some videos and having a look through some of my games to just kind of overview what I was doing within the games. And then we have missiles and HE shells that do not deal damage will no longer say bounced. So that's always good, I guess, for those of you that play the Cold War mode and use missiles and HE. Now, getting into the biggest portion of this week's news, and that is in the form of what's coming on Tuesday. So that is the 21st, I think, something around there, 20th even. So the 20th of July, we will be getting the Italian Heavy Auto Reloader line released. So this is really big. We'll go through what exactly the Italian Heavy Tank Auto Reloader line actually is like in a little bit, and then we'll give some opinions on what they're actually play like on PC. To be honest, for the most part, they're pretty average. In terms of where they come in on the tech tree, they come in at tier 7, so if you've managed to save up some free XP or XP on your tier 6, I think it's the P43 BIS, then you'll be able to get the Carro d'Assalto P88 tier 7 very, very quickly. Well, almost instantaneously. I think it will probably cost you in the region of about 40,000 XP on the tier 6, roughly, probably. But yeah, once you've got that, you can then move through the line going up to the Rinoceronte, the tier 10. Now, there is the Bisonte C45 that came into the game recently, and this is basically a better tier 8 than the Progetto Mod 54. So if you're interested in getting yourselves a premium Italian heavy tank, then the Bisonte is there. They've given us a few statistics as to what the tank's actually competing like right now, and it has number 1 in number of shots hit, it has number 2 in average lifetime, number 3 in damage dealt, number 4 in credits earned, number 1 in base XP earned, and number 2 in penetrating shots. The problem is with these statistics, it's probably skewed very badly because, of course, who purchases the premium tanks that come out straight away for the maximum price possible? Well, of course, it's going to be the players that are invested into the game more and players that have probably played a lot more of the game than anyone else, and hence the experience of those players is going to be more, and therefore they have better games on average than some of the players who, have just started the game. They're probably not going to buy the Bisonte straight away. So that is what I would say with regards to the Bisonte. Don't take these statistics as being, oh my god, it's such a broken premium tank, because to be honest with you, it's pretty average. I don't think that the tank is fantastic. It's certainly a good one if you can get hold down. I've played a few games in it, nothing too spectacular. from my point of view. I think that it got nerfed quite heavily from the PC version, but then again, it was kind of a little bit better on the PC version. But my thing is with the Basante is that you can definitely have some really, really good games. Of course, you've got that mechanic whereby if you shoot in single shot, you can do more damage or have a higher DPM. But of course, if you want to auto reload all of your shells up to three shells of 360 alpha damage, I think it is, then you can pump those out really, really quickly in quick succession, but it does cost you your DPM if you want to reload 3 shells into the magazine. So it's always kind of, you should be thinking what you want to do with regards to the Basante and that kind of mechanic. We've got another thing, being the K91 Tech Tree line balance changes. So we've got a few balance changes. One of them very, very interesting. But the first one being the K91. We have the Object 416 at tier 8 and the Object 430-2. So these are both getting balanced. I don't quite know what this means. They haven't really given much information, but I would guess that they're getting improved. Nothing actually said, but I don't think that the Object 430 version 2 needs a buff. I think it's fantastic at tier 9. It's pretty much one of the best tier 9 mediums if you can play it right. I think that people have trouble playing it, but it definitely is so good if you can keep that gun firing. 416 on the other hand maybe does need a little bit of a buff, but for the most part, yeah, I think the Object 430-2 was probably fine as it was. In terms of the other one being the K91, one of the lackluster tier 10 medium tanks within the game, this is obviously a tech tree line. You'll be able to get a full second reduction to your reload. So instead of, say, 10-second reload, you get 9 seconds. I think the reload on the K91 is actually something ridiculous anyway. It's probably like 4 seconds or something to reload. Getting a reduction of 1 whole second is massive for a tank with that kind of DPM. Going to be really, 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 really good tank, to be honest with you. I think that if you can use the DPM and you can take the sacrifices in your armor and your speed and a few different things within the tank, then maybe you'll be able to make it work. But to be honest, I don't think the DPM was the problem with the tank, and maybe, just maybe, it will still just be as bad, except you can just pump out more damage in a shorter amount of time. Of course, with the release of these changes, or the balance changes that Wargaming are doing, they'll be supported by an on-track event. So as with the usual ones, of course, every single week, I think for the last couple of weeks, we've been getting the on-track events. This one will basically be a K91 on-track event, so any of the tanks leading up to the K91 will, of course, have the 25% bonus XP applied to them, and also a 25, well, you'll be able to earn more silver as well if you play in them. Yeah, really, really good. You'll also get a discount from tiers 3 to tier 7, I think it is, that you get a 50% discount on buying the actual tank, and then between tier 7 and 10, you'll be able to get a discount of 50% or 30% on the tank itself. So make sure if you want to get the K91, then you could, but to be honest, it's a tank I'd pretty much avoid. Yeah. Make up your own mind, however, have a look at it, obviously, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the K91, and yeah, maybe this will actually be a good change for the K91, but I think if they just made some other changes that actually were negatives with the tank rather than just buffing the one good thing about the tank, maybe it would have been a better buff and a better balance change, but then again, this is Wargaming, and I guess they'll do what they want. As far as another thing, we have the IS-4 and the MAUS lines will be next in the queue for balance changes. So of course, both of these tanks pretty lackluster in the current meta. IS-4 definitely one of the worst tanks at tier 10 in terms of a heavy tank, definitely needs a buff. Same with the MAUS, kind of been left a little bit in the dust. I think maybe if they buff the MAUS's armor slightly, just so that you can actually occasionally bounce if you angle your armor, I think that, yeah, it would give it a little bit more competitiveness, or maybe just give it a slight speed boost by a couple of kilometers, just so that it can get into position a little faster and not be so ogreish or sluggish when you play in the MAUS. As far as another thing that we did get within this update, we had the tier 10 USSR T22 medium tank reload from 9.4 seconds down to 7.6. That's a 1.8 second reload reduction. That is absolutely insane. That is ridiculous. The fact that they've taken off 1.8 seconds off of a T22 medium's reload means that this tank is going to have super high DPM for the tank itself. Hopefully, if you've purchased the T22 medium, which is a tier 10 premium tank, then I guess you're going to be very happy with that, because that's a significant DPM buff. That's probably, to be honest, what's that, a 20% increase to its DPM, which is massive. I expect the DPM was in the region of maybe 3,500, so add on an extra 20% of that, going to give you an extra 700 DPM, which is massive. You're going to have 4,200 DPM. If the base DPM is 3,500, that's just a made up number, but you can see what I mean by having that increase to its DPM. Is going to be massive for those of you who find the T22 actually good. We've got one last thing within within Tuesday's update, and this is the quality of life fixes, to be honest. We've got a lot of these coming out. We've got the ROF calculation for auto reloaders in-game is fixed. We've got spectator mode allows for the tanks button to be used, or the select tank button to be used. They did try and fix post-mortem dying while drowning will no longer fix the camera to a dead tank, so you wouldn't be able to actually leave the kind of spectator view of the dead tank, but that's not actually been fixed. So unfortunately, that won't be actually coming in next week, but then we do have GIFs show properly in the logs, red dot on missiles in Fredvong, brightness adjusted so you'll be able to see them easier. We've got filter commanders across game modes. Filters will now save, so you'll be able to actually swap between the different game modes, and the commander filter will still be the same, so you won't have to reset the filter back to everything each time you swap to the other game mode. We've then got marks of excellence and inscriptions will show on the Bisonte C45 because they weren't originally, and then missile capacity and reload stats added to ammo dialogue, so you'll be able to see the missile capacity and also how long it takes to reload each of the ammo types within the ammunition tab. And then finally, the NBA balance and reduced rotation. We will continue to monitor if we need to remove it from the rotation, and this is multi-base assault mode. Basically not a fan of it, to be honest, in my personal opinion, but then again, you know, some of you definitely are, and I've seen that in the comment section down below, and there's definitely a few of you who are blatantly against the multi-based assault mode, so yeah, I don't know what Wargaming going to do with this, but hopefully they make the right decision as with the community, because to be honest, I'm kind of impartial to it. I don't really mind. Still have good games on either one. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the multi-base assault mode as well, and all of the quality of life fixes. Are they good? Let me know in the comment section down below. So I think it's important that we actually look at these Italian heavy tanks that are coming in to the game, and we're going to have a look at them right now. So we've got the Caro P88. This is the tier 7. It's got pretty shoddy DPM, 1668. When it comes into console, don't know what the statistics are going to be. We haven't been confirmed, but what I would suggest is that it'll be fairly similar to the PC because they aren't particularly broken on there, which is a first for when they introduce a new tank line on World of Tanks. But yeah, definitely an interesting one. Do I think it's going to be super flat out broken? Do I think that you have to get these tanks? No, I don't think that they're a necessity, but I do think that they're an interesting change to the heavy tank meta within the game, and being able to have that opportunity to reload multiple shots or just fire in single shot or just have the dynamic kind of capability that these tanks do get, then I would definitely recommend having a go in the Italian heavy tanks, but don't feel pressured into playing them as of the release. Of course, they're pretty average. The armor model of these tanks is pretty weak, as we can see right here. You've got about 179mm of upper hull armor, which is awful. Don't bother trying to shoot at the lower plate because it's basically impossible to hit. And if you are above the tank, then yeah, you won't ever really bounce on this tank. And even the turret is awful unless you hit this really well angled, sloped bit of the turret as well. So yeah, side of the tank is awful. And yeah, I think for the most part, pretty sluggish, pretty ogreish, and I don't think that this tank is going to be particularly great. Imagine the the P43 TER. It's probably like that, but with an autoloader, to be honest. The armour will work in the same kind of way. As far as the tier 8, this is basically the worst version of the Bisonte in every single way, but then again, that's premium tanks for you. We did a video on premium tanks and the kind of problems that we're facing within World of Tanks console with the premium tanks, and I guess that, this is just another case of that. This one, kind of armor works a little bit better, I guess. The lower plate is a little bit trollish and bouncy because of the angles that it gets, but for the most part you aren't going to be bouncing very many because it's got 150mm of lower plate armor, and even the upper plate is like 180, so nothing really special there. And if this thing does get hulled down, which it can do, and use its 10 degree or 9 degrees of gun depression, makes the armor slightly better, which means that you are going to have a little bit of trouble firing at these things on ridgeline, so just maybe try and avoid them if it does get onto a ridgeline. However, side of the tank is absolute paper, and if you manage to get any of the side, you're basically going to pen, because it's 120mm at the nearest part, which is the least angled bit. Yeah, that's basically tier 6s are going to pen straight through your turret if they manage to get any bit of the side of you, and even if they catch your hull armor from the side, they're going to be able to pen you very, very reliably. Another tank that just is, yet again, lackluster, but I guess we'll see what the statistics are like when they actually come in on the game, so I can't really be too critical of them because they may get a nice little buff when they come onto console, but according to the trends of World of Tanks console, they tend to be nerfed when they come into the game, so we'll just have to see what these tanks are like when they come in, but I'm just showing you some of the weak spots. And of course, yet again, with the tier 9, the Progetto C50 mod 66, you've got this lower plate, which is huge, and they kind of get bigger as you go up through the tiers, which can be penned very, very easily by everything that you'll meet. And the upper plate is, once again, pretty useless as well. Yes, you might be able to bounce if you wiggle and you get some good angles where they hit this right-hand side when you're angled like that, or if they're similarly on the left-hand side and they hit you like that. But for the most part, if your frontal armor is just facing them, they'll be able to go through your upper plate. Turret armor with these is obviously pretty good, and if you can get hold down, then you've got a very, very slim chance of being able to penetrate this thing, unless you're in a Jaeger or something like that. So of course, if you're interested in this kind of playstyle, Ridgeline Warriors with an autoloader, then this could definitely be something that you might want to look at. Of course, 400 alpha damage, which is good at tier 9. You're going to have 2000 DPM, which is, let's be honest, at tier 9, pretty shocking, but if you do use it in the correct kind of way, you can push out this DPM effectively, and having the auto reloader mechanic means that you can pump out your damage very, very quickly and then just kind of get out of there for the next bit of the time when you reload. But yeah, once again, let me know what you think of these. And then at tier 10, the final one being the Rinoceronte, the 40 kilometers an hour top speed. You've got this 127mm gun, 490 alpha damage. You've got 3 in the clip, which means that you can have a whopping 1,470 total damage within the clip, which is decent. However, this is console, and you'll not be able to actually deal 1,470mm of, or 1,470 damage, because we've got the silly, like, minus 15% or whatever it is. This one, however, is much, much better at tier 10. It's probably the better one tier for tier than any of the rest of them. That's because of the turret armor that this thing gets spaced quite a lot over it. You've got this really, really good flat plate, and if you can get on a ridgeline, this thing's amazing. Kind of only weak point is this little box on the top of the turret here, this one. So if you can manage to actually hit that, then you can pen, I think. Don't know if it's not a hitbox on console, but I guess you'll just have to test it out and see if you can actually pen it when it comes onto console. Similarly, like, you want to be aiming at the lower plate. If you get a glimpse of it as it comes over a ridgeline, you can hit it here. Same with every tank in the game. This is a position, what people forget about is like things like the T95 when they're pushing over a hill. No matter what the frontal armor is, if you can manage to get any shot into the lower bit of the tank, the bottom of it, then you're going to pen. Even if it is like a ridiculous angle, if you can just get something like that, you can definitely go through it very, very easily. So it's just a little tip for you guys interested in penning something like this. And of course, Let me know what you think of the Italian heavy tank lines. Are you going to be grinding them, or will you leave them alone for the rest of the kind of year, I guess? And the final thing within this video is the works in progress / stuff coming in the near future that isn't really has a definite timescale, but hopefully this will come in soon. So first things first, no further news on ranked battles at this time. So we've not got any information on ranked battles, which is kind of annoying, but I guess we'll see how it goes next week. We will look into bots shooting through smoke, because apparently bots are doing that. Don't know if that's true, but I guess that they've been having some complaints. They've monitoring features PC introduced, like Frontline, so maybe we'll get these Grand Battle Frontline game modes into console at some time, which I think will be really, really, really good, to be honest with you. Really, really would be quite interesting to play some of these new game modes, would keep it fresh and give you something else to do in the meantime when you're grinding out the season and just getting a little bit bored with the game. This will just add an extra kind of enjoyment factor, or an opportunity for you to play something a little different to the standard random battles within World of Tanks console. Of course, we will look into greater ways of increasing / adjusting visual accessibility for players. So in terms of what they mean by this is basically the colorblind modes and being able to actually visually see enemies within the game, making it easier for you to be able to spot enemies and basically just be able to visually see them. Of course, they've done a little bit with the colorblind modes, but I don't think that they're 100% there in terms of for the people that may be visually impaired or whatever your sight problem might be. I think that this is a great thing to be looking into, and I really do hope that they can really get this nailed down for those of you who may or may not have some sight problems. But yeah, really, really good thing for Wargaming to be looking into. Then we've got bots in custom games is on the wish list, so I think that this is good. I think that this just basically is like Call of Duty private lobbies where you can put in bots or whatever, and loads of games have the bot kind of ability, so I don't think that this is something that is too far out there. I think Wargaming will definitely look at putting this into the game fairly soon. I think that the systems are pretty much set up, to be honest, with regards to the bots, and hopefully that will get put into custom games fairly soon. As far as a couple of new things, there's been a lot of these comments, to be honest with you, even from what I've seen, and that is what basically people are saying, why don't console just port over some of the stuff from PC so that it's just easy to just move stuff over so they don't have to develop it themselves. And that's because Paintgirl basically said it's impossible to port anything from PC due to the differences in code between the two platforms. To be honest with you, I am not a game designer. I'm not a game programmer. I have no idea how porting stuff works within World of Tanks, let alone any sort of coding within games. So yeah, I guess that is not possible at all, and hence why it hasn't been done. Because to be honest with you, if it was possible, they would have already done it, because there would be no reason why they wouldn't actually just do that, because it would save them a lot of time compared to developing it themselves. So I'm pretty sure if it was possible, they'd have already done it. So I guess that kind of answers it for you guys, asking whether they could just port stuff from PC to console. Then, of course, we have exclusive slip-up. An unannounced tank was mentioned, so not entirely sure what this was. Obviously, if you do know what the tank was, then let me know in the comment section down below. I think it may have been probably something to do with Cold War, a new tank line or something like that. So let me know what you think of that. And then finally, fourth mark of excellence is coming to console, World of Tanks. Fourth mark of excellence. I would guess what this is going to be is 100% mark of excellence. So if you manage to get to 100% on your marks of excellence, you will get the fourth mark of excellence. Don't know if that's true. Obviously, if you know anything more, then let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of the fourth marks of excellence? What do you think about the bots in custom games and all of this extra works in progress? And of course, let me know what you think of any of the stuff coming into World of Tanks console, and what you would actually like to see within World of Tanks console. Of course, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, then leave them in the comment section down below as well. And if you need to check out any more news, then we've got pretty much the last 7 months all covered within the news on this channel in a playlist, so if you want to look at that then you can and see how the game's developed. And of course we have some other guides and gameplay for World of Tanks console that you can look at if you're interested in maybe learning a thing or two about the game. Other than that, a big thank you to all of you who watched this video, and of course our channel members for supporting the channel even more than just your viewership. It's massive to see so many of you actually putting in your own money, your time. Really do appreciate it. It is just fantastic, and I can't thank you enough. Just thanks very much for even just subscribing. It's just crazy to see how many of you there are. There's like 5,400 of you now at the recording of this video. That's mad. Like, you could fill a small stadium with that. That's ridiculous. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, remember to like the video and subscribe for more, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.